Welcome to Subaru Park on the Banks in Chester, Pennsylvania. Today's match presented by Sun East Federal Credit Union as Union 2's first match in nearly a month sees them take on an Atlanta United 2 side desperate to stay in postseason contention. With Devin Kerr, Mike Watts, let's take a look at the standings, and it's not a very rosy picture for either of these teams.
If you're Philadelphia Union 2, Mike, you still have the opportunity with games in hand to get back into this. Virtually 3 games behind, you put all 3 of those in your back pocket. That's 9 points. That gets you to 13th, right in the pecking order, underneath Hartford Athletic and Pittsburgh Riverhounds. But it's a lot of work to do. It's much simpler in Group H standings. Everybody challenging the Rowdies in the Battery for Atlanta United 2. If they don't get 3 points tonight, they are the first team eliminated in the USL Championship.
For Philadelphia, they have not played in nearly a month. They had issues with COVID inside their team. That's how much has happened in the championship since they've played a game.
Long ago, it really was. I mean, August 5th was the last game. It was a fantastic 3-2 come-from-behind victory against New York Red Bull 2. That would be their interim coach Marlon LeBlanc's debut. Fantastic. Need to build on that, though. They've got to find a way to get back into this, and this is a group that is stacked from top to bottom. Go out and make a statement. You want to do it? Do it, players like Axel Picasso. Hard to believe at such a young age, but he is one of your veterans, Mike. The premier orthopedics player to watch has got to find a way out on that wing to challenge with the balance of Danny Flores. Push balls up top to Bowie and Mischic. Marlon LeBlanc very happy with the structure of this team, how this 4-4-2 has aligned itself. Lean on players like this to have success.
Meanwhile, for Atlanta United 2, they look at a guy like Mackie Jope, and maybe they've struck gold here.
Watch him in space. Fantastic. He's got great speed, excellent height, has a little bit of trouble sometimes when he gets down into the dirty work, into the 2v2, 3v3s. But you give him a tiny bit of space, he'll exploit you for sure. It doesn't hurt, by the way, that he's going to have a little help up top tonight. The loanee from Atlanta United, J.J. Williams, will be his striking partner.
They are your premier players to watch, brought to you by Premier Orthopedics. Well, we're ready to go here behind closed doors in Chester, Pennsylvania. Union 2 is back. Atlanta needs a win to stay alive. Lineups kick off when we return.
Acme is bringing the fresh every day. Crispy, juicy, delicious. We're cutting fresh, so you don't have to. Slicing fresh in store. Icing, baking, and flower bouquet making. This is how we do fresh. Come and get it. Acme, the official supermarket of the Philadelphia Union.
The summer of 2020 will be unusual and historic. Let us write the story together, enjoying the weather while staying safe. Wear a mask when you're outside. Keep up social distancing as we keep up our spirits. The usual destinations may not be open or may have restrictions. Conditions may change, so check websites as the summer goes on. Let us make history by enjoying the sunshine and together beating COVID-19.
For everyone who has ever brought home Entenmann's Little Bites Muffins, you're probably quite familiar with the Happy Dance. Maybe it's because they're made with real ingredients like blueberries, bananas, strawberries, and no high fructose corn syrup. Or is it because they're always baked moist and delicious? The answer is all of the above. Entenmann's Little Bites Muffins, the perfect portion of happiness. And be sure to try new Entenmann's Little Bites soft-baked chocolate chip cookies.
Acme is bringing the fresh every day. Crispy, juicy, delicious. We're cutting fresh, so you don't have to. Slicing fresh in store. Icing, baking, and flower bouquet making. This is how we do fresh. Come and get it. Acme, the official supermarket of the Philadelphia Union.
Welcome back, everybody. Players out on the field at Subaru Park in Chester. Union 2 and ATLU TD 2 with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts on hand. A look at the starting lineups presented by Sun East Federal Credit Union.
As mentioned, Marlon LeBlanc quite happy that this team has an identity now. He feels like they've dropped into a flatter 4-4-2, but likes what the rotation is, likes all the challenging of each players of in and out of positions, this, that, and the other. Huckabee and Jazinski on the back line. Anthony Sorensen outside back is a fun one to watch, as is Brandon Craig. Axel Picasso and Danny Flores, these are going to be, in my opinion, the two most influential players because of the youth on the midfield. You've got the debut out of Bettenhausen, and of course, Mischic and Patrick Bowie up top. For Atlanta United 2, Tony Anand steps in, of course, for Stephen Glass, who is now with Atlanta United after the departure of Frank de Boer. They're good. They have been in almost every match that they've played in, Mike. As frustrating as it's been in terms of results, I like Modou Jadama on the backside. Jack Gers, great in overlapping runs. Patrick Nielsen out of Michigan State. The front three, though, Goodrum, J.J. Williams, and Mackie Jope. Watch them. They fly in terms of pace, and they do a really good job of understanding what's coming at them with Will Riley, Babakar Njai, and Abdoulaye Jope playing out of the midfield.
So with that, we're ready to roll here in Pennsylvania. Union 2 have waited nearly 30 days for this moment to get back on the field. It's almost been like a second restart for them. Atlanta United 2 start with the ball in white. They move left to right. If they fail to pick up all 3 points, they'll be eliminated from the USL Championship postseason. Gurr throws his hands up. Whistle blows. Mischic still down. Mischic remains down. The Vermont native who signed at 15 and debuted in June last year. Well, all eyes on J.J. Williams in this game. And for Atlanta United, too, maybe the scoring punch they've been missing.
He flies. He really is impressive in the 9th spot. A Johan Cedergren product coming out of the University of Kentucky. Flying year in 2018, drafted in his rookie season. The Columbus Crew pick him up. Of course, Greg Berhalter departs to the U.S. men's national team. Caleb Porter liked him, immediately loaned him, though, to Tommy Sohn of the Birmingham Legion. And was pretty impressive. 8 goals in 20th-year appearances. And the problem is when he got an opportunity with the Columbus Crew, which was few and far between, 7, didn't really do much of it. Looked semi-decent in the Open Cup, but against MLS competition, it's been difficult for him. And some of that is lack of minutes. He's a guy who needs that confidence. Most 9s do, but he's a bit different when you are so used to striking the back of the net at the rate that he was on in college, and then even funneling into the Birmingham Legion. You've got to find a way to continue to stoke that fire. And he did make one appearance at the time Frank de Boer was the manager for Atlanta United in a 1-0 loss at the MLS's back against FC Cincinnati. But again, that was all the way back on July 16th. So get an idea, COVID or not, just looking for some minutes to get back at it.
Picked up by Butler in the back, and Union 2 will try and build out of this. Pressure from Jope. Vicente Reyes pushes it away. Lundgaard was phenomenal last time out against the Rowdies. 7 saves, including a penalty. To get the call to start on back-to-back games. Vicente Reyes' first start for Atlanta United 2. Couldn't get that to Jope or Nielsen. And a foul 1 high up by Union 2. The injury report is presented by Crozier Keystone. Both teams are really nicked up at this point. Camden Feywell, one of those veterans in the league that really could have helped this Atlanta United 2 team through some early growing pains.
The 1 rep all the way back in March has been hurt ever since, and just struggling to get him back in. That's a great pickup for the entire organization. Yomi Shintu throwing his name in there. Some big names for both of these clubs, and we say big because they're guys that have made such an impact on the organization overall. When you're talking about playing basically academy players, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, being 20, having 30 reps under your belt, you look like an all-star.
Set piece here for Philadelphia. First ball away. Sends Wiley chasing. Corner Union 2. Corner kicks are presented by Talon Energy. McGlynn, Aronson, Ofemu, and Kingay all started Union 2's last game, a win against Red Bull 2 29 days ago, and do not feature from the start, although all 4 are available off the bench. Turn back here to Flores. Bettenhausen won the foul for Union 2, and they'll get another free kick.
No gift in the center of the park. Poor mistake by Atlanta United 2. Even Jack Gurr on the side throwing his hands up in frustration. Marlon LeBlanc will take it, though. It's a fantastic spot in terms of the location. The distance, though, it's going to be a bit troubling. And going down on the ground. Just letting them play a little bit. This is quite a ways out there. It does look like Brandon Craig fancies his chances.
16-year-old center back started to make some waves internationally. Trialed briefly at Liverpool last summer, as many young players do. Still some elite company there. Brandon Craig will go for goal with a deflection. That's going to get out, lead to a corner. Brandon Craig's dad, born in England, played at Temple. That's where your connection lies with the Philadelphia area in the Union Academy going back to age 6. You're basically talking the very beginning of the Union in Major League Soccer. Corner here for Flores. 2 players unmarked, collected by Bowie all the way across again.
Well, the back stick was on. Just a little drift there by the debutant Bettenhausen, drifting out of the middle. A couple different looks here wide away. I'll tell you what, oof. Loads of space on the backside. Just dropped the Patrick Bowie, trying to whip this one quickly back in.
Pressure pretty good to start here for Union 2. Things are starting to clear up a little bit in Union 2's group while they were away. Pittsburgh with a tremendous run of form through August, and against Loudoun to start September. It appears a playoff spot nearly sealed up. They could finish that off in the next week or two. But Hartford still catchable for Loudoun and Red Bull, and Union 2 if they get on a run here.
We talked about how the preference for each person of would you rather have the games in hand or the points. I take the points personally, but even then, step beyond that, Mike. It doesn't matter which one you prefer. You've got a load of games to bag into a very small window, and you're already shorthanded as it is. Given the COVID protocols, players not going back and forth from Union 2 to Union, understandably so. So now you're challenging the young bodies. The other side of that is, I will say, it's a lot easier to recover for a 16-year-old than it is for a 30-year-old. Drop 90 minutes on a grown man's body. It's a bit different. Never really fully appreciated that until the past couple of years.
Until it was too late.
Until it was too late. You realize 90 minutes at the youth level and the blazing heat. Play another one less than 24 hours later. Not terrible. Not then, anyway.
Carried out of midfield here by Union 2, and they'll slow this down. Sorensen all the way back. Keys to the game are presented by Sun East Federal Credit Union. We're a tenth of the way through this one, but for Union 2, right off the bat, maintain focus.
It's really easy, Mike, given the COVID issues and everything that's caused with the postponement of matches. It disrupts your training schedule. You get quarantined. Just focus on the task at hand. You've got 90 minutes in front of you against Atlanta United 2. Gain some sort of momentum for your next match. Keep Marlon LeBlanc undefeated. Of course, he won the 1-0 against New York Red Bull 2, or the 3-2, excuse me, in this first game out. And get back at it. Loads of game in hand. Atlanta United 2, you gotta find a way to hold on to some belief. As we mentioned, if they don't get 3 points tonight, they will become the first team in either the East or the West of the USL Championship to be eliminated. Only win this season was a 4-3 win. It was a good one, in theory, over Miami FC, but that's all the way back in July. There's a process here. Tony Annan recognizes that. Stephen Glass put it in place. And just get rid of all the self-inflicted wounds, because as we mentioned, they've been in most of their games. They just seem to put themselves behind the 8 ball. Remove that and they're just fine.
Free kick here for Atlanta in the 11th minute. And Njai make his way over. Born in Gambia, grew up in DC. Sometimes we hear about men and boys when it comes to set pieces. This is a fairly physically imposing young Atlanta United 2 team.
They all feel like they're going to have a say as to what they'd like to see. Jack Gurr whips a pretty impressive ball in. And from this angle, it is difficult to go after the goalkeeper. You do have the little 2-man option you could play.
Here's the ball whipped. Wasn't Gurr in the end. And this lost by Riley. Let's be frank about Atlanta United 2. Frank de Boer leaves after a troubling run at the MLS's back tournament. Stephen Glass takes over. Joseph Martinez was injured early this year. You deal with potentially, the rumors floating now about P.T. Martinez potentially being on the way out. Tony Annan, who was the academy director, steps in to lead Atlanta United 2. In some ways, it's been very difficult for Atlanta. Something over their first few years in MLS, they didn't experience all that much.
Everybody reaches that point though, right, Mike? I mean, eventually your day does come. Sometimes that span is 10, 12 years for organizations. Others, it's right out of the gate. Atlanta United 2 only knows success. Atlanta United only knows, excuse me, success. And obviously they're trying to work that from the academy up. I'll be real interested to see who they end up sliding into that managerial role. With all due respect to Stephen Glass, it won't be him. I'm starting to hear those things around the organization, and that's not necessarily the worst thing. You just wonder with what he's gone through in his professional career so far in terms of coaching, is that the move for him? And that's, he doesn't have it at the senior level, right? I mean, you're looking at a guy that worked down in the triangle for the Carolina Rapids prior to Atlanta United. You know, the U17s, then through the academy, and you take over the Atlanta United 2 team. There's a process of breaking down what you're looking for your organization, and given everything that club has gone through for so far, Tata Martino, Frank de Boer, Stephen Glass, don't see that transitioning happening. Not saying he's not capable of it. Just that seems more like it's probably going to be a big name hire, right?
Historically, that's where they've gone.
You would guess.
When they brought in Tata, jaws dropped. Frank de Boer, obviously a massive name. However you feel about his previous experience outside of his time at Ajax. That said, it still feels there is a larger organizational philosophy about developing young players in the Atlanta area through their academy. Kicked off well before their MLS or their championship side. Through Atlanta United 2 and eventually into the MLS team. This will be Jack Gurr. Enough to keep that in. Able to roll a ball across. Union are hitting their stride. Very impressive start this year. And in speaking with Marlon LeBlanc, it feels like he's a better fit for what they want out of the Union 2 right now. He believes in the organizational synergy, guy who connects with young players, did it at West Virginia, coached Ray Gaddis and Jack Elliott. So the players have a belief that he'll get these guys ultimately where they want to be. Slide in there, ball stay with Philadelphia. LeBlanc's son, Kellen, is in the academy. Said ultimately family comes first. He said that FaceTime gets old when you're coaching in West Virginia and the family's in Philadelphia. It's not often that you follow the kids' dreams into another city, but they were comfortable doing that. And he mentioned how inspiring that can be to the guys in the academy, that I trusted my son to this organization. So of course I have your best interest in mind.
It's telling for sure, and it gives you an idea of his commitment of what could be for the future. He was a bit coy about whether or not there was a long-term relationship here, but I think some of that's also being reserved on his side because not exactly sure what the future is for anybody at this point in time. Nice little movement so far with right wing. Robinson rotating outside. Danny Flores is actually coming to the interior instead of out on the wing.
Goodrum unable to get around Anthony Sorensen. And say have all the physical tools to be a top outside back. To force Goodrum out. This will be a corner. I think we all miss having the Sons of Ben back there. They've covered that section up nicely. Gurr delivers. Header snapped high. Not a bad look at all. Went to Jadama. He's been around the block a handful of times in the championship.
Mid-20s, but wearing the captain's armband. You said it earlier, Mike. Pretty physically imposing for such a young squad. Boys have definitely been in the weight room, and Odu Jadama, of course. A little bit of time in Tulsa. And then David Vaudrell.
That was that great Tulsa team.
They made a nice run that year. Fantastic. Spent some time in the Portland Timbers organization, primarily with T2 under Cameron Knowles. A couple reps here and there, but nothing crazy in terms of looks for the first team of Portland Timbers.
He actually played as a youth briefly for Tony Anand with Norcross Soccer Academy.
I'm a big fan of his coming off the back line in terms of distribution. He's really smart, got great vision, and you know the system is probably going to be the next question for Atlanta United moving forward. That was one of the big arguments going from Tata to Frank de Boer, but a young man like Modi Jadama can fill those shoes if need be. You know, Miles Robinson plays a similar type role, and I'm not comparing the two players. I'm comparing the position where, you know, you're looking for these guys to usher this along at the same point in time. Those 30, 35-yard balls sprayed into the corner with your overlapping wingbacks of whatever it looks like for your organization going forward. More than capable. Robinson, of course, and now Jadama.
Here comes Goodrum. The offside flag was up, and Butler made sure that wasn't going to squeak through anyways. He seemed almost surprised that that got to him. Caleb Wiley. Fairly busy day in the USL Championship today. Sacramento picked up a victory against Portland Timbers 2 on the road. That game kicked off at noon Eastern time.
Did you see the box score on that, by the way?
I saw the game.
You watched the game?
Yeah.
Well, good for you. I haven't seen it yet. That's I haven't watched the game, and I just looked and I go, wait, is that right?
There was a goalkeeping blunder for Timbers 2 that I think would make Steve Clark blush.
Oh, boy. Great ball.
They've sprayed it into the wide area. Williams and Goodrum making a run.
Just notice into the same space is the only issue you have there. Much overlapping on each other as Mackie Jope, and out on that left-hand side primarily. Goodrum here over on the right, and J.J. Williams just peels off, holds it up, plays it outside. But when you spin like that, you would imagine, considering the fact you're coming from a deep-lying position, you're the back post runner. Goodrum's got to make that run to the near post, peel the defenders away from him, create some open space, and you give Mackie Jope a couple options instead of just the space. He's got targets to pick out.
Goes short. Njai. Header snap from distance, well off target in the end. That's Abdoulaye Jope. Abdoulaye and Mackie, 4 years apart, both native of Senegal.
No relation, first off. That was my quick question. I was like, wait, it says Dakar from their location, but they're actually a couple miles from each other in tiny little suburbs. And just picking the brains of the front office of the organization, it is interesting how two players with such unique backgrounds who grew up in such close proximity to each other never heard of each other. Not until you reach the organization, and that's not something that often happens. I mean, how many times have you and I been on a phone call where, I'm from Nebraska, and I've got, it just happened with Marlon LeBlanc, and I was talking to him, and I said, came up for a recruiting trip while you were at Penn State, and he said, oh, really? And he goes, do you know this person? I said, no, and he brought up Brian Devlin. He said, oh, I know Brian, and this guy, and yet two guys that are basically 3 miles apart, close in age. Yeah, never heard of them. Both great talents, though.
Yeah, no doubt. And they both came through the American collegiate system eventually, but different schools, different levels, and now playing side by side, 5 and 7 in white kits tonight for Atlanta. This settled and tried to get a shot away. Second effort, looping, and Bowie nearly unlocked Jasinski there.
Just having a little trouble in the midfield right now for Philadelphia Union 2 in their build-up play. There's a little inversion with Bettenhausen and Danny Flores. Marlon Blanc talked about their shape, and they're flat right now. You are seeing Bettenhausen stretch this a bit more on the offensive side and almost pivoting into a diamond at times. Of course, Rabadan and Picasso always challenging this movement going forward, and it's been pretty flat up top as well in Bowie and Mischic. Difficult to really get some quality buildup. That's not what you're seeing on the side for Atlanta United 2. Obviously the finished product lacking for both, but they're much more fluid on the ball. Notice the passes being strung together. Identity was a key word that Marlon LeBlanc kept using, but you're seeing much more out of that with the visitors right now. Using the outside backs, the long balls coming from your center backs. Great switch of play, rotation coming out of the midfield. It just seems that when they get themselves about 30, 35 yards from goal, decision-making lacking a bit.
Ball for Jope into the corner, didn't quite get there. So gotten out. See Jasinski there, came through the Charlotte Soccer Academy and then eventually into the YSC Academy that I'm sure Union fans know very well. Fully integrated soccer academy into a high school.
Thank Richard Graham for that one. He definitely got that right.
It's knocked into the wide area. Maybe a chance to cut this back. Nothing doing there for Jope. Corner, Atlanta. By the way, Atlanta this year, and this is a great note in their stat pack that they give out to the media, on average, their starting 11 has never been closer than 2.5 years younger than the opposing team's starting 11 in any game this year. This is their 12th. The Union are substantially younger here tonight, so a more experienced Atlanta team on the field than their opposition for the first time all season, and by a wide margin. Corner here for Atlanta. Butler gets it away. Trying to shield this off. Atlanta have come away with it. There's only one player starting tonight for Philadelphia who's 20 years or older. And it's Ramadan, who's 20, player who came from Spain. Header for Jope. Quickly overrun for the ball. Good looking ball for J.J. Williams. Settled, Jope. Jope will have a go. Good pressure. Is this to Jope? Comes to Williams. Slaps it outside. Mackie Jope fires that off the outside of the netting.
He can really hit a ball, man. It's impressive the amount of power that he can put behind this thing. There's some of the rotation we talked about. J.J. Williams really fancies himself right now, dropping down into the pocket. And as it makes its way back out, let's watch the first touch. And he gets that one wrong. But look at the explosion of speed. Gets it on the left foot. And a boatload of pace behind this thing when it's hit.
Cazo couldn't maintain possession here for Philadelphia Union 2. They've said complaining gets you nowhere. That's been the focal point over the last 3.5 weeks. Feel like the energy's really positive. They got their first win since September, which is obviously a bit misleading. Their final game for their most recent team shutdown. They've been following all the protocols, which at times means even small-sided games are out of the question. Feel no trepidation coming into tonight. J.J. Williams goes through the back. Dante Huckabee. Williams, good ball through. Is he onside? Goodrum won't matter, knocked away. And will this lead to a corner? Yes, it will.
He's got pace, doesn't he? Great track back here on the back line. Phil Goodrum. He can explode into speed. J.J. Williams really liking to play the distributing role. Coming all the way back in, Anthony Sorensen. Seems to be an area of concern right now for Juan LeBlanc. If your Philadelphia Union 2 player. Notice when JJ drops back in, hitting that gray area where Danny Flores and Bettenhausen aren't picking him up, and you're not having a center back track as well. So the space is open. Williams allowed to turn and set other players up. That's some of the youth that trying to figure out exactly what's being asked of you. And he said, you know, I want to challenge these players. There's going to be rotation. We're going to put guys in spots that make them feel uncomfortable. They know what's capable on their end, but also around them. So that when circumstances dictate it, they're capable of fulfilling that role. And just having a little bit of trouble right now, Mike, 30 minutes in.
Away from Williams. Blue shirts abound. Pressure building in the small subset of Atlanta United players. Bouncing off of Bowie. And so Atlanta tries to get forward and can't. And with that, we reach a hydration break here in Chester. Scoreless here. Union playing in MLS tonight as well, taking on Columbus. That game scoreless, approaching the 30th minute. Both teams here under the tutelage of new coaches. Tony Annan taking over for Atlanta United 2. We mentioned Stephen Glass taking over the MLS side, the academy director as well. And then Marlon LeBlanc left West Virginia, really stepped away from a lot of security as well in that job. Once you reach a certain number of tournaments, you could be there for a very long time, but he felt this was more important.
Well, he had the pedigree too as a player, and you go back through the Penn State soccer program, Barry Gorman, who just, you have to say world renowned because of the players that he brought into the collegiate program there at Penn State from all over the world. And it was the success with honor type thing that you kind of heard out of Joe Paterno on the football side, but created great people, great players, and just hearing Marlon LeBlanc talk, very well spoken, and he's got the confidence, but it's not cocky, right? And Tony Annan on the other side of things, you're looking at a guy 20 plus years on the youth program side that has a massive amount of experience within the state of Georgia, actually in the Georgia Soccer Hall of Fame because of it. And there's a lot of academies down there. United Football, Georgia United. Things go on and on and on. Of course, he was one of the founders of that. Atlanta Fire can throw their name in it. Of course, Atlanta United now. Seems like every single time that we're hearing these names come into positions like this, it's kind of like they've already achieved so much. What's next? You're looking at it, right? Now this is an opportunity for them to hone their craft a bit more, albeit a different experience, different environment. And what's the next level for them?
LeBlanc got a call from Ernst Tanner, who now is overseeing the full Union umbrella from the academy to this second team to MLS. Said, hey, we want you to do this. How do you feel about that? His plan was to be with the U17s all summer. That's where Stephen Glass was in January of 2019, to be fair as well. Second year in a row where we've seen a coach come in, maybe not totally buy into what they're looking for. For Union 2 this year, you'd say for Loudoun United last year, similar deal where you had a chat with Marlon LeBlanc about this, as this is sprayed brilliantly diagonally forward for Jope. Jope will have a go with a deflection, came off J.J. Williams.
This is one as a coach, Mike. You want this decision to come a bit faster, and there's a reason for it. When he cuts this back in, the decision's already been made for him. The passing lane for J.J. Williams is already closed out, albeit a fantastic ball, and he's doing a great job of help usher this forward right now. But as this comes, J.J. starts to run. You've got Goodrum on the backside as well. That cut in right there, it's the only option. Williams is offside off the deflection, which they end up calling. And if you make that decision sooner, you can still pull the trigger as he did, but now you also give yourself 2 other decisions to make. Do I want to go back post or near post? So you've got 3 overall instead of just the 1.
Goodrum. Corner here for Atlanta. But there's some bad days when you're working with young players against pros, when it's their first experience in the professional game. And you have to have a certain stick-to-itiveness to stick around.
And we saw that with his predecessor, of course, for so long.
Brendan Burke.
Yep. Of course, still with the organization, director of recruiting. But another new opportunity for him as well.
Nothing doing there for Gurr. That said, Atlanta finished 14th each of their first 2 seasons. Union 2 made the playoffs in 2017 and 2018 before backsliding last season into 16th, leaving Bethlehem behind in the process. The old moniker. This is a good dissecting ball that's read and lost here by Reyes. And Atlanta able to recover, picked up by Nielsen. Njai still a central figure. Jope releasing. There's Butler.
It's a great read by the goalkeeper coming off the line. Just so much pace from Mackie Jope on that left side. And especially the way that they're going after it tonight with J.J. Williams either drifting next to or down in to a false 9 type role.
Kazo able to keep that in somehow. Bounces up here, Bettenhausen.
Watching the role that you brought the player that I'm going to go after up earlier. Watching the role that J.J. Williams is fulfilling tonight, Mike. It looks like the same type of role they ask out of P.T. Martinez. Given freedom on that front line, rotation left to right, down into the pocket, with the other 2 around him, have fun, and eventually get your own strike at goal. But everything he's doing, it's not out in front of him like we've seen in situations past. He's coming to, good receiving, head on a swivel, making some excellent decisions to get this going the other way.
And you're almost looking for profiles at times and then projecting forward what could be in a year or 2. J.J. Williams, first-round pick by Columbus. This deflects, and maybe Gurr can get there. Booted away by Huckabee.
Yeah, by no means are we comparing him to P.T. Martinez. Again, it all goes back to the system and what it looks like going forward. Just a similar type role being deployed tonight. Antenmann. Definitely been in better form so far, just inside 40 minutes. Couple looks here or there from Philadelphia Union 2. There's some of the mistakes that I talk about, Mike. This one, of course, is on the side of Union 2, David Rabadon. But it's the little ones like that where you switch off for a moment. Next thing you know, set piece opportunity. You know, you're down in the corner, it's makeshift. There's no reason to get stuck in there at all. Mackie Jope is closed off down in the corner with Anthony Sorensen. Rotation over by your midfielder. And your one-on-one, worst case scenario, he's pressed up against the line. Instead, you give up a dead ball situation. Now, all those pretty impressive players in terms of height and stature for Atlanta United 2, they'll get an opportunity to challenge in the box.
Yellow card went to Rabadon, his first of the year in just over 300 minutes over 6 games. Wall set here as Butler awaits. Gurr. Williams. Ball bounces around in front. Jope tried to spin around on that. It was Nielsen right in front of goal. Made life difficult for the 17-year-old goalkeeper, Mitchell Butler. Gurr. Six winless for Atlanta, but it's misleading. 2 draws and 4 losses by a total margin of 5 goals. It's Goodrum. Handled by Butler, a man after your own heart, I guess. The 17-year-old goalkeeper from Lincoln, Nebraska. It's no, real pride being a Nebraska kid.
Close enough. I mean, I was an Omaha boy, but, I'll take it. The only issue I have is he is a big Red fan. University of Nebraska.
You guys got to stick together. It's still.
We have names for people that support Big Red in my family. But look, he's a fun one. You get to dive into his background. This is a kid who you go all the way back to the age of 3, came out and said, I want to be a professional soccer player. And his journey has been, nothing short of spectacular. Shattuck St. Mary's, which is a pretty renowned academy in Minnesota for athletics in general. I mean, Sidney Crosby, right? You were saying will stay in the state of the Penguins. Of course, he went there. That's just one notable alumni. And his mom actually moved with him, ended up becoming the team photographer for Shattuck St. Mary's. His dad stayed home, did the dirty work in Nebraska. Actually lived just outside of Lincoln.
Maybe a chance to get a shot away. This will roll out for Bowie.
And he's, always traveling. He actually spent time with the SKC Academy, Sporting Kansas City. There he is. 17 years of age.
I was reading about life in quarantine for him. He's having 80-mile-an-hour balls shot at him. His brother's helping him out.
When he actually stayed, in Nebraska during quarantine.
Right.
He wasn't in Pennsylvania, and he says that there's a path here for him, and he trusts it. But still getting college offers. John Kurt Jr. at Duke, Jeremy Gunn, Stanford. Princeton, Creighton, they've thrown their name into it as well. But he wants to make the leap directly to the pro level. Here is the challenge. Handball coming back across. His ankle just gets caught in the turf. Can't control those ones. A little tentative here from Abdoulaye Diop. We talked about the Joe boys. Actually, Modou Jadama and Lamine Jane, the Gambians, similar. Of course, nowhere near the same last name, but grew up right near each other. Different towns again. Another pair of boys that had no clue of the other.
By the way, you mentioned Sidney Crosby. Of course, the Flyers still at work while Sid the kid's at home.
Yeah.
But I'm flipping through the...
First time in a while.
Looking through the Shattuck St. Mary's all-time hockey players.
The relative who's who.
I'm not finding, not a single draft pick went to the Flyers in all these years. Taves and Stepan, it's It's all people that you absolutely hate if you're a Flyers fan. Here comes the effort. What a rip! Jope! That is a total banger in the 45th.
He knows it too. And let's go back, Mike. Coming in, you and I were chatting about him before the game. And you wanted to dig deeper, and I said, watch him in space, watch him in one-on-ones. Has a little trouble in traffic, but there's no issues here. Look at all the room he has to work with. Ball out in front, there's the pace. There's the IQ and vision, little cut across the body, and just unleashes into the upper corner with that massive left foot. We've seen it on display a few times in this first half. Yet to put it on the 8x8, and the first time he does, tickles the nylon.
Woo. You know, look at Sporting Kansas City too, and they brought in a couple guys who went through Dynamo Zagreb and their second team. Mackie Jope not on loan from there. He was at Zagreb back in 2015 and 2016. He was actually with Red Bulls under 23 in League Two last year after concluding his collegiate career at Radford. Stoppage time presented by Subaru. 4 added minutes. That was a heat-seeking missile from Jope.
6 goals in his last 8 appearances. And Mike, not just as a left footer, but understanding the space that he's occupying there, he does a good job of creating separation. If there's one argument you could make, and it's difficult because there's pressure coming on the right shoulder, is he really creates a difficult angle to work with moving forward. So he moves away from net, which is fine. And then you get into the one-on-one. The touch to his left, there is only one spot, realistically, you can put this ball, and it's in that upper corner. Everywhere else has been closed down by either a defender coming across the box or Mitch Butler in goal, who we've given praise to already. The one spot that he can hit it, tucks it home. 6 goals in his last 8 appearances, by the way.
It's funny, we talked with Marlon LeBlanc a bit about who to watch out for, where they're trying to adjust for Atlanta, and he spent a lot of time talking about what his team needs to do, what they're trying to do now as a group, especially coming out of the last 30 days. But he did spend some time on Mackie Jope. All across, header will steer away. Mackie Jope was there, and he looks a bit hung up afterwards. Maybe didn't land quite right. He goes, he's big and strong and powerful. He scores goals, and he pops off the screen a little bit. And Tony Annan's got to be happy. Coming off a tight defeat at Tampa Bay. One that was largely in hand, you'd argue, for the Rowdies most of the way, I think. They're up 1-0 and minutes away from halftime.
The front three very active for Atlanta United too. We reap the rewards. Just the one time. I don't want to say it could have been better, but well, there's a challenge. This is from behind as well. Mackie Jope getting involved on the other side with Dante Huckabee. Looks like that ankle's just fine. It's kind exchanging addresses. Pen pals from the future. Little how do you do? Whoops.
Off the free kick. Appeal there for the handball.
Actually thought he took this off his upper shoulder. Right in that gray area. Let me see. They say it's the bottom portion of your armpit right now. It's the way the IFAB rules have gone.
That replay was presented by Sun East Federal Credit Union. We've reached the half here, Dev.
And of course, a lot of work to be done for Philadelphia Union 2 in the second half. Better run of play from Tony Annon's boys. Quality finish by Mackie Jope. That front three, pretty impressive so far. And the build-up for Philadelphia Union 2 just has to be better. Better combination from Bettenhouse and Denny Flores in the midfield. That'll help really link all three of these lines together. Right now, just a bit of separation causing some problems.
Gritty and the Fanatic taking in the game as Tony Annon, the interim coach for Atlanta United 2, sees Mackie pick up his 6th goal in 8 games, and what a goal it was. Halftime coming up.
The summer of 2020 will be unusual and historic. Let us write the story together, enjoying the weather while staying safe. Wear a mask when you're outside. Keep up social distancing as we keep up our spirits. The usual destinations may not be open or may have restrictions. Conditions may change, so check websites as the summer goes on. Let us make history by enjoying the sunshine and together beating COVID-19.
Acme is bringing the fresh every day. Crispy, juicy, delicious. We're cutting fresh, so you don't have to. Slicing fresh in store. Icing, baking, and flower bouquet making. This is how we do fresh. Come and get it. Acme, the official supermarket of the Philadelphia Union.
It starts with Sara Lee Artisanal bread. Thick slices that can hold cheese. All the cheese.
Richly flavored brioche that goes with any meat. A little sweet, a little savory, a lot of
Or soft, flour-dusted buns and rolls. Perfect for all my favorite flavors and all my favorite people.
No matter what you layer on, make it with Sara Lee Artisanal, the original artisan-style bread, and make the routine remarkable.
For everyone who has ever brought home Entenmann's Little Bites Muffins, you're probably quite familiar with the Happy Dance. Maybe it's because they're made with real ingredients like blueberries, bananas, strawberries, and no high fructose corn syrup. Or is it because they're always baked moist and delicious? The answer is all of the above. Entenmann's Little Bites Muffins, the perfect portion of happiness. And be sure to try new Entenmann's Little Bites soft-baked chocolate chip cookies.
Welcome into halftime with Devin Kerr, Watts on hand as Atlanta United 2 grabs the opening goal in the 45th. Mackie Jope. It's the kind of thing that you're going to dish about next week, but for now, Devin dishes on the week that was.
The dish. Best served hot, fresh, healthy sides, most importantly, goals. Served up with assists like this from Caden Clark. One of my top 10 prospects coming into the season with an affiliation with an MLS squad. Look at this thing, weighted. Little outside English off the right foot. Jake LaCava, back of the net, 1-0, New York Red Bull 2. But there is a response. Loudoun United not willing to go quietly into the night. 40th minute, Mustafa, touch inside, left foot. Let's go to 1-1. The problem is, see, there's 90 minutes in a game, and you have to finish strong. Ask Jake LaCava, 45 plus 5, top bins. That's pretty quality finish from Jake LaCava. First 2 professional goals for the New York Red Bull 2 starlet. And how about this ball cut back across? Oh yeah, I've got 4 assists, which by the way is for 4th best in the USL Championship, but might as well throw a goal in there. First professional goal for Caden Clark from Sharif J. Mustafa would get a second. Too little, too late. Here we go. Group G, the battle of the bulge up top. Number 1 versus number 2. Nobody told Jaden Cervania that. How good is the 18-year-old on the outside wing? But there is a guy who scored a boatload of goals in his past. His name's Nico Brett. No longer at Pittsburgh Riverhound, still in the Eastern Conference. Tommy Sohn said our biggest acquisition in the offseason. He may want to rethink that because guess what? What's up? I'm Bruno. So we have to say it quietly because he's not scoring. Fantastic assist here from Bruno Lapa and Nico Brett. You would even get a 4th. Brian Wright. No big deal. They would get a double yellow, though. Eli Crognale gets thrown out. Dane Kelly gets another goal. He's got 9,000 in his USL Championship career. Problem was 4-1. That's the finish. One of my favorite games of the weekend. One of the games that I said they were finally going to be knocked off their perch. Have not seen enough out of the Tampa Bay Rowdies. There were assists all over, especially in the Eastern Conference. Angelo Kelly Rosales may have been better than the ball from Caden Clark, but is not better than this finish by Zeta Costas. Look at the upper corner. Kiss of death off the post. Are you kidding me? 1-0. Feeling it 22 minutes in. I want to know something. With this ball played in, by the way, he stands 5'7". He stands 5'7", is still able to put this ball down in the box. But what is going on with Sebe Guenzati? Touch this home, you get it evens, you get a point, you get out, you go home. Not the case. It's not what happened. Coming off a Lipa FC win over Indy 11. Here comes Lou City into St. Louis FC. 6 stitches off of this? Absolutely not. He didn't get 6 stitches from that. He gets a goal in the 30th minute, though. Fantastic ball served in by Brian Ownby. Bottom corner, Kyle Morton. Probably should have done better. Still a very difficult one. It's a great finish by Lou City. They're out in front. That's all she wrote. No, again, I mean, what is going on? Who's giving out classes midweek on service distribution? Again, this is a public service announcement. Western Conference, you are on notice because the balls that are being served in the East are nothing short of spectacular. More Sam in the 64th, 1-1 Group B. That's all she wrote.
The United Soccer League and its 47th championship in League One clubs stand united in support of diversity, inclusivity, equality, and compassion. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can create change. Together, we are united against racism.
Lapa flicks it up for Brett. It's an outstanding combination and a winning combination at that.
Now out wide to Aiden Daniels. Daniels one-on-one, steps away from the jam, curls and scores!
6 bodies in the box to aim at. Flipped and saved by Parker.
There's a chance now, opportunity, finds the back of the net. Stavros Zarakostas.
Our first McDivitt corner kick of the second half, and there's another save from Abe Rodriguez. What about this show from the goalkeeper?
Into the box it goes. It's Ortiz on the half volley, and Charlotte take the lead.
He'll step into it, over the bar, and he scored! Great shot by Cuevas as he sent it over the wall.
The United Soccer League and its 47th championship in League One clubs stand united in support of diversity, inclusivity, equality, and compassion. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can create change. Together, we are united against racism.
Welcome back, everybody. Some very good boys out there in the crowd tonight.
Is that Baxter? Mark Twice if you're in Milwaukee.
Let's take a look at news and notes from around the USL Championship, as it's been a busy week. Junior Flemings remains the runaway leader in the Golden Boot, especially with Tyler Pasher slowing down for Indy 11.
Oh, is this my turn now?
Sure.
I left it there for your own interpretation because I know how big on Wilson Harris you are.
I am.
Yeah, 20 career goals, youngest in league history. You also think that Sporting Kansas City 2 is turning some heads in Group B. You think they still have a chance, right?
Indeed.
Politely disagree.
Okay, meanwhile, San Antonio is still unbeaten. You called Charleston knocking off Tampa Bay.
That happens, right? Watch as many games as we do, you're going to see that.
Let's take a look at the team of the week. Devon's at his very best. Ryan James, a brace. He doesn't do that much.
Kind of curious why Jordan Dover isn't on this list as well, but Dylan Cernup was serving up some fantastic distribution. Guys like Wilson Harris, Redland Montpremier, Jake LaCava, of course, with his first 2 professional goals in their 3-2 victory. Jaden Cervena. Augustine Williams, 3 goals and an assist in his last 2 games. He's been firing. They'll take on Orange County tonight. That'll be interesting.
Earlier this, I guess it'd be last week, they tweeted out the starting 11 here. That's Toby, Willow, Scotty, Pepper, Max, Nutella, Rex, Pole, Flippy, Shirley, and Tesla. It's part of Subaru Loves Pets. So, no, Baxter's not there. We have first half highlights, including Job's phenomenal goal when we return to Chester.
Acme is bringing the fresh every day. Crispy, juicy, delicious. We're cutting fresh, so you don't have to. Slicing fresh in store. Icing, baking, and flower bouquet making. This is how we do fresh. Come and get it. Acme, the official supermarket of the Philadelphia Union.
For everyone who has ever brought home Entenmann's Little Bites Muffins, you're probably quite familiar with the Happy Dance. Maybe it's because they're made with real ingredients like blueberries, bananas, strawberries, and no high fructose corn syrup. Or is it because they're always baked moist and delicious? The answer is all of the above. Entenmann's Little Bites Muffins, the perfect portion of happiness. And be sure to try new Entenmann's Little Bites soft baked chocolate chip cookies.
The summer of 2020 will be unusual and historic. Let us write the story together, enjoying the weather while staying safe. Wear a mask when you are outside. Keep up social distancing as we keep up our spirits. The usual destinations may not be open or may have restrictions. Conditions may change, so check websites as the summer goes on. Let us make history by enjoying the sunshine and together beating COVID-19.
It starts with Sara Lee Artisano bread. Thick slices that can hold cheese. All the cheese.
Richly flavored brioche that goes with any meat. A little sweet, a little savory, a lot of
Or soft, flour-dusted buns and rolls. Perfect for all my favorite flavors. And all my favorite people.
No matter what you layer on, make it with Sara Lee Artisano, the original artisan-style bread, and make the routine remarkable.
Bridge starting to light up a little bit here tonight. Union 2 and Atlanta United 2, 1-0 to the roadside as they try and stave off elimination in the USL Championship postseason chase. Let's take a look at halftime highlights. They're presented by Bimbo Bakeries.
Marlon LeBlanc pretty impressed by the rotation of his boys so far. Pretty high on the 4-4-2, and he says, you know, feel like we've made a home for ourselves. Everybody understands their roles. They struggled out of the gate. Atlanta United 2 have definitely been the aggressor in the opening 45 minutes. And I'll tell you what, the front three, pretty impressive. Love what I've seen out of J.J. Williams dropping down in, creating a lot of opportunities for others. One of those men, Mackie Jobe. And he created some crazy separation here. There's the near post run. 40 minutes, set piece opportunity. Jack Kerr at the right back spot. Watch this ball rotate back out though. Good stuff by goalkeeper coming in through. You got to come harder though. Right around the 6-yard box, they're going to protect you. He came off his line a few times, Mitch Butler. But right there, you can see he's trying to track it like an outfielder, loses it in the lights. You've got the luxury, use both fists. 45th minute, look at all the way back in with the space. And the ball's on the wrong side, to be fair, should have been out in front of him. And here's what I'm talking about. 2 players, so you close the lane down, get it the outside, you've got one look, Mike. It's the upper corner. You want to break the deadlock? Do it in emphatic fashion. Oh my. How good of a strike by Mackie Jobe.
Goal number 6 of the year for Jobe as we look at our halftime stats presented by Sun East Federal Credit Union.
We've done it in the last 8 games, as we've mentioned. And, you know, the rotation with the J.J. Williams look, it is different. You know, it's not a Coleman Gannon up there. You know, it's not necessarily what we've seen with some of the other players that have stepped into those shoes as well. Jackson Conway, you could toss it in. J.J. Williams understands his environment, and he's really helping create for the other 2 around him. Keep an eye on that, though. You start to lure Philadelphia Union into to one look, you give them another. Still think the 2 boys in the middle, Danny Flores, Sean Bettenhausen, need to do a better job. I know there's a lot of rotation within this system, but they put a couple balls and movements going forward. You're just looking for a bit more regularity if you're Marlon LeBlanc.
On comes Jackson Conway and Coleman Gannon, who you mentioned a moment ago. Ben Ofemu has come on in the back for Philadelphia. Will replace Bettenhausen. Bettenhausen goes 45 minutes in his first. J.J. Williams checks out. Substitutions are presented by Sun East Federal Credit Union. There's Ofemu. Guy who we've been seeing now for years, Devin. It's been fun watching him progress.
It's always interesting at just 20 years of age. You heard that right. Actually, that's my mistake. My apologies. 20 tomorrow.
Yeah,
his birthday's tomorrow. My apologies. Happy early birthday, Ben.
Here's Conway for Williams. Sub brought to you by Sun East Federal Credit Union.
Watch that shift on the front line now. Don't be surprised if Mackie Jobe is the one who assumes the role, more centrally located. Jackson Conway usually comes out from the flank and cuts in.
Dulai Jobe comes out to allow Gannon on. Atlanta drives this away. Big tug at the back of Goodrum, and he's won the free kick. A little extra there after the fact with Jasinski. That'll be a yellow to Jack Jasinski. This is first start in a Union 2 uniform.
Great turn by Philip Goodrum. Looks like we've had a couple pen pals made on the pitch tonight. You're a writer, Mike, or no? Big writer, are you?
I think I write fairly well, but my handwriting is terrible. Hence, no pen pals. I also don't commit fouls in open areas of a soccer field. So
there's your mistake. That's how you make friends.
That's how you made friends.
How about the interesting move here where obviously Ben Ofemu is going to go to the back line. Just like Brandon Craig over, but Dante Huckabee is actually the one who is stepping into Benhausen's role in the midfield.
Offside flag up here. It's interesting in the case Brandon Craig. They played him at right back against Red Bull 2. Not his best position. He is a center back. Him and Ofemu makes sense there, but Huckabee, a guy who's been raised as center back. So you're trying to get all these guys on the field. You're trying to put your best 11 in that moment that you can feature out together and in the best position for them to grow. It's a challenge.
The initial look is they've actually got Huckabee well restricted under Danny Flores. David Robidon has come in a bit more than normal, and Jack Jasinski playing a higher line than we saw in the first half. Of course, we're just a few minutes into the second. And the evolution that will be Philadelphia Union 2 in here in the second half, chasing that 1-0 lead from Atlanta United 2.
Different scenario than Marlon LeBlanc faced in his first game as the side's manager. They led within a minute against Red Bull 2 and then watched that slip away, grabbed a goal right in the 45th minute as Atlanta did tonight to level that match at 2. Then they're able to dig deep, find that late goal from Jasinski in the 71st, his first career goal. Ball ahead, look at this back heel effort. Well, you have to appreciate the creativity from Jobe.
It was a good performance by Philadelphia Union 2 against Red Bull 2, Mike, but you know, it's not like you were getting spectacular things like this out of Mackie Joke. Wallace Lapsley had a nightmare of a night, giving that ball away 17 seconds in. Probably actually occurred around the 11-second mark and then just progressed further. But quality character, chasing the game, coming back in. Manager talked about that, Marlon LeBlanc. Everything's not always going to go to plan. And the fact that they showed, you know, a little fight in them gives you the belief that they're capable. This is space.
Jobe is onside. Jobe charging. Didn't get the curl on that. Perhaps he was looking to find Jackson Conway. Either way, he'll be disappointed with the end product.
The ball. We've seen so many balls coming out of the midfield in the Eastern Conference over the past couple of days that have showed you some really impressive thoughts of what these guys are trying to do. That was another look at it. Naki Jope on the receiving end. To your point, Mike, get into a situation like that, got to do better. There's no reason whatsoever you don't hit the frame.
Second straight time trying to build that Philadelphia has given it straight away. Job couldn't thread that. Out into the channel, Caleb Wiley. Njai. Wiley again, youngest player on the pitch tonight. As a 15-year-old, already starting to see some experience with the U17s for the U.S. Wiley will throw here. Here comes Philadelphia charging forward. Found Bowie. Dummied through Sorensen. Bypassing Rabadon. Jasinski.
And there's an overload in the midfield right now for Philadelphia Union 2. They've pivoted this shape into very much a diamond look, with Danny Flores assuming the point man position in front of Dante Huckabee. Picasso and Rabadon have tucked themselves in. And, you know, over the past 3-4 minutes, Mike, you're starting to see some advancement out of the outside backs in Anthony Sorensen and Jack Jasinski, and that's what you got to do. You have to try and find a way to pin Atlanta United 2 back a bit more than what we saw. They were absorbing too much pressure.
In most games, this has occurred in the opening half. In this case, it is 7 minutes into the second half. The Union and Atlanta United 2 have come together to recognize the fight for equality, diversity, and inclusivity by using 1 minute and 46 seconds, 7 minutes into this half to 8 minutes and 46 seconds into the second half. Two extremely powerful and symbolic numbers, not to play soccer, but rather to honor the ongoing movement around social injustice and the need for positive change in our sport and in our society. Just last weekend, the Black Players Alliance was unveiled, an organization recognized by the USL and the USLPA with a mission to educate and empower its members to use their platforms to bring positive change to their communities. We've seen a lot of applause from fans when they are in the venue for that moment over the course of the past week. The Black Players Alliance issued a statement reading in part that we want to create consistent dialogue with the clubs, the league, and communities we serve in order to create more diverse environments. And as Black players, we want to use our voices to amplify the issues surrounding racism and social injustice throughout our country, be a conduit for positive systemic change. I was thinking about it over the past 24 hours, the platform that these players have in the USL and in MLS as well. But the top 13 media markets in the country have professional soccer. And 90% of the top 50 markets in the country have professional soccer, and certainly plenty beneath that. So between USL League One, USL Championship, and MLS, the platform's simply enormous for these players. This is a nice run by Conway. Jope off the pirouette. Gannon out into the wide area, and there's the service for Jope, who goes diving through the back of Olfemu. Olfemu got a piece. Corner coming for Atlanta, and Jope a bit banged up.
He grabbed some contact as well, Mike, and this is one where it was almost doomed from the beginning, where they're fortunate enough to get something off, to be honest. The quick rotation all the way back out to Jack Gert. Jackson Conway should have released it sooner. Could make the argument for Mackie Jope as well. Finally, fantastically whipped in ball by Jack Gert in that outside spot. Trying to get it off to the near post, but the substitute, Ben Ufemu, he's read that book before. It's a great challenge.
This is a corner for Atlanta as they try and double their advantage. The service header down by Conway, got all the way across. It was Wiley, taken by Union 2. Deflected away from Bowie. Good pass between lines. Picasso. Deflected further by Mischich. Grabbed by Reyes. Conway, brilliant. Able to spring Atlanta through. Gannon closed down nicely. Free kick, Philadelphia. For Bowie, it's popped out the other way. Won't catch anybody sleeping.
And notice their willingness to sit back now, Mike. They're not challenging as much, and not to say that they pressed a boatload in the first half, but there was a bit more chase. Now they're just allowing the game to develop. I wonder how much Tony Annan is dictating that from the sideline. Just outside 30 minutes to go, the 1-0 lead. Definitely not creating as much as Union 2 battling themselves back into this.
Patrick Nielsen. Nielsen again. Given away, curling effort. And Bowie is that right into the breadbasket of Vicente Reyes. NJ comes out. Daniel Steedman comes on.
Like this young man, Mike.
Sun East Federal Credit Union sub.
Good player. George Gelnevach, University of Virginia product. Had an opportunity to Miss him in person at the College Cup this past year. Of course, they fell short in the final, but Scotsman is a great player coming out of the midfield. He'll be well accustomed to the system, what's going to be asked of him. Another one who's got a pretty high ceiling, just has to continue his evolution as a player. It's going to be a system thing for him.
What a final that was, by the way.
Whew. My voice still hurts.
Goalkeeper for Georgetown in that game.
Romero.
Those are some big footsteps for Mitchell Butler to follow in. Romero was playing significant minutes for Bethlehem Steel, 15 years old into 16.
Yep.
And then won a College Cup with Georgetown.
Still the youngest goalkeeper to appear in a regular season match, 16 years old. His debut was on opening day 2017 versus
Lost me there.
Bob Lilly, Rochester Rhinos.
Flores goes down. I don't know if that's a good day or a bad day. Picasso. You know the result of that?
Oh, no. I'll have to side with Bob on that one.
That would be my first thought.
Union 2 second substitution.
Escapes out.
Leaving the match, number 37, Samir Miscic.
Miscic comes out. Sun East Federal Credit Union substitution.
Number 36, Syed Diaz.
Syed Diaz comes on.
Substitution occurs in the 62nd minute.
Talent Energy corner kick for Luis Flores. Floated back forward. Tap to that, and Reyes picks up. You could see a little bit of rain starting to come down during that substitution. There are some thunderstorms that are supposed to roll through the area later tonight. May clip the back end of this game, the beginning of those showers. Gotta tell you, it's good to hear Kevin Casey again. Public address announcer for the Union. I'm not sure I laughed as hard during the quarantine period than when he did the starting 11 of items from his refrigerator. Butter! One of those resonating voices in all of MLS. Jasinski won that back for the Union and now played through. Diaz. Diaz ankle tightening, maybe a second look at this, swept away by Reyes.
They're probing here, Mike. Definitely trying to give themselves an opportunity. The build-up play in the second half has been much better. Much, much better. And look at the space. Syed Diaz. I think that one's got to be on that far corner. Good recovery. Jadama.
Corner too far for everybody. They were all crashing near post, and Ofemu will go chase this down. Second ball. Diaz. Sorensen. Sorensen out of Ann Arbor, Michigan. Slotting in, playing well tonight. We are 20 minutes into the second half. Atlanta scored the opening goal in the 45th minute. Mackie Job, magnificent finish into the upper corner, across the face of goal inside the 18. With the win here, Atlanta remains, at least until the weekend, capable of making the postseason, but this is their 12th game, and probably the most lopsided group in the championship is theirs.
How about for Philadelphia Union too, Mike? I mean, talked about how much work they have to do. Most of it is going to have to be done on the road after tonight. Rapid games in succession. They'll play again Sunday, then Wednesday, then Saturday. That'll be Rowdies, Red Bull 2, Loudon. They will get an alternation coming down the stretch, but you're still taking on Hartford Athletic 3 times, followed by Red Bull 2, culminating in a trip to Highmark on October 3rd to close the season out. Again, plenty of games in hand, but the way that this group is playing out, by no means an easy feat.
You're going to need to take at least 6 points off Hartford, if not 7 or 9, to really have a chance to get back into this. Ton of contact. There's going to be a yellow. Brandon Craig goes into the book.
He understands that he's off here, but it's the rotation from Atlanta United too that has been pretty impressive. A bit docile here in the second half, but watch the explosion coming off the backside. Really impressed with what I've seen out of Coleman again in the midfield. And just look at the explosion. Jack Kerr in that outside back position. He knows it. More importantly, Brandon Craig coming up lame on that hamstring area. Right out of the tackle, and then ever since.
He's not the only one that needs to be attended to at this point. If there's an upside for Union 2, you do have another center back on the field who you've shifted if you need to make a change here, but Craig continues to stretch out that leg, and the attention turns elsewhere.
The easy move is drop Dante Huckabee back there. Jamoy Topi, that's your reference. And you talked about the quote-unquote starters, if you will, given experience past. King Gay, Jack McGlynn, Paxton Aronson. You and I would love to see him out there.
Yeah.
Any of the players, to be fair.
Aronson just picking up his homegrown player deal, so officially a member of the Union. And it's going to be Mackie Job, who's just down being attended to, who's set to come off. What a goal he scored in the 45th minute. Amir Bashti come on in his stead. Job just continues to pile up goals in the championship.
Lame on that right leg as well, but look at, uses it, quick pace, and I like the look over the shoulder. Jack Jasinski checking to see if he has help. There's only so much you can do. Push him to a tight ankle. Sometimes it just comes down to the drive and individual brilliance. That's what you get out of Mackie Job on his 6th goal of the season.
Sun East Federal Credit Union substitution in the 69th minute. Atlanta would love to grab a second here. Floated forward, falls kindly. Dama floated that a second time, and that led to the offside flag. Atlanta's got a 3-game homestand coming up. Miami, Tampa Bay, Red Bulls 2, and then close out at Ricardo Silva Stadium in South Florida against Miami. Even if they do win today, a Charleston win at Miami combined with a Rowdies win or draw against Miami tonight or against Union 2 on Sunday would do the trick as well. Miami has played fewer games, and like Union 2, despite being the bottom of their group, still have room to make something of this late in the season, but their windows are closing as well. Skies over Wiley. Huckabee. Couple changes are going to be coming for the Union in these final 20 minutes. Nice redirection, Picasso. Picasso. Bashti.
Still lacking that finished product up top for Union 2. They've started to grow into this game. Not overwhelming by any means, but notice, Mike, there's quick little touches. Oh, there's some good little technical work in the middle of the park. The build-up play, but again, you're 30, 40 yards from goal, decision-making off. That last touch, just escaping them.
Off the spin, turned wide by Bowie. Laid all the way across, out of the reach of Reyes and out. There's an appeal for a touch there. Not the case. Hazo is closest to it. Kingay and Aronson set to come on. Kingay for Jasinski, brought to you by Sun East Federal Credit Union. And some of the big news for Union 2 during this layoff, Paxton Aronson received a homegrown deal. Only 4 appearances into his Union 2 tenure. His brother Brendan, I think at this point we're starting to talk about what club in Europe he's headed to.
August 19th for Paxton Aronson, as you've got a player down.
Well, they're going to use this moment for the hydration break. Level of referee awareness that at times is lacking. The moment sometimes presents itself. The game recap is really going to start here in the 45th minute. It's a full turn that leads Job into the path of this, and then he unleashes.
One of my favorite parts about this, Mike, and I just picked it up, is Philip Goodrum, when he hits this ball, actually slaps his hand in frustration because he gets it wrong. Puts it over the left shoulder. But again, individual accolades starting to pile up for Mackie Job. 6 goals in his last 8 appearances. Not a bad finish at all. Would continue into the second half. Picks up a tiny little knock, and this is the criticism at times. Almost too much time to think about what he wants to do. Sprays it wide. We've mentioned they're growing into this game, Philadelphia Union 2, Atlanta United 2, letting them hang around. Sayed Diaz coming on. He's starting to make an impact. Shape has changed. There's a bit more of a diamond look. Dante Huckabee sitting under Danny Flores. He's the one who sprays this up top to Diaz, and a bit too little too late as Mudujadama coming over to get the tackle in. So just outside 15 minutes to go. This game's not over. As good as ATL UTD2 have been, there's still plenty left here, and as mentioned, if you're just joining us, or you've been with us the entire time, thank you. Atlanta United 2 need 3 points to stay alive in their group. If it comes down to a draw or a loss, they will be eliminated.
Anthony Sorensen continues to be attended to. He's back up. He was down for the entirety of that hydration break. Union 2 have 1 sub remaining, and one wonders, they do have a window for it, whether Sorensen be able to go the rest of the way. He's ushered back onto the field. We'll see whether Union 2 can use that moment to their benefit. Steedman. The full-on sprint by Bashti. Bashti chipping this at the goalkeeper, Butler.
Here's something to think about within the group for Atlanta United 2, Mike. There is action in Group F tonight. Tampa Bay Rowdies hosting Miami FC. No. Jordan Scarlett, Seba Guanzati, 2-0 Rowdies. It's in the 75th minute. So just as Atlanta United 2 keeping themselves in it, Miami FC are going to find themselves on the fence this weekend if they don't get a result. And they will be facing Charleston Battery. Yes, they deserve that one.
This last goal, big rebound, and handled by Reyes in the end.
It's not a bad save here from the debut of Vicente Reyes. Wonder what Patrick Bowie. There's Aronson from distance. Bowie, challenge this. Always be mindful of the fact that a ball could be bubbled up here.
Aronson's made a nice impact here. Where do you see him fitting best for Union 2 now and moving forward in his progression?
He's got to stay in the middle of the park for sure. Marlon LeBlanc kind of feels the same way, and I share the same sentiments. If you watch him move, he moves just like his brother. I mean, the run, his body language, everything. Just keep an eye, even the haircut, of course, too, although Brendan's gone a little bit shorter recently. But if you watch him, head's always turning, checking his surroundings. You know, he's got a quick little survey, but always an idea of exactly where he wants this thing to go. And you need a player like that in this type of system. Drops down in, you know, carries that 10-8 type role, but more on the offensive side of the ball. He'll hold your shape for you. But as you see him on the top side of that diamond right now, just drops into the pocket, watches when he receives it, looking to go the other direction. His referee didn't like how high the boot was. Sure, I agree with that one.
Was flipping tweets around with Matt Ralph, who does a great job with the brotherly game, right? And just said for a dad, and you think about Paxton and Brendan together in quarantine, working out with their father over the course of that time. What game do you watch tonight?
Oh, yeah.
The Philadelphia Union are playing against the Crew, and now you've got this
I'm watching the Miami Heat in the playoffs. Don't give him an argument, right? Sorry, boys, I was busy. Penguins are out, I turn to a different sport. Trust me, I've played the brotherly love game before. It's not a fun one.
Matt Ralph and the team over there do a fantastic job covering soccer locally in the Philly area. Kingay. Flown upfield by Daniel Steedman. Bashti gives chase. Kingay goes back. Ofemu. Risque, perhaps. Conway. Bashed back across beyond Bashti. What do you want to see from Philadelphia over these last 11+ minutes to try and change the result? Maybe a little bit of this. Ball blasted off target by Bowie.
I didn't want to step in as the boys in blue started to move themselves forward. I still go back to the conversation with Marlon LeBlanc because he was quite adamant of how proud their identity and formation has been, and that has evolved as the match has gone on. And specifically in this second half here, Mike, I really like the shape it's taken where you can call it a flat three with an advanced attacker. You can call it a diamond. Right now you've got Dante Huckabee, who's moved off the back line into the midfield. Paxton Erickson stepping in front of him right now. There's so much rotation for the Union 2 squad. You got to trust each other. And in these build-ups, we've seen higher plays coming from the outside backs. Of course, Steve Kingate, the substitute, coming on. Everything leading, right around 20 yards from goal. Where they've been lacking is times like that. Saeed is trying to play this ball across. There's a mismatch for sure, and there's space to be had, but it's a really difficult ask to get it all the way back across. You're looking at 15 yards, cut back over the left shoulder, trailing run in the midfield. So once they do start to move into more advanced roles, where's the support coming from? Because the build-up's starting to get there. It's just really difficult in terms of decision-making because they don't have a lot of options. It's pretty much, you're looking at 1v1s or, okay, I have this one support run coming on this side. I'd like to see more of the blue jerseys starting to move forward here because they've got a good idea of what they want to do. Now you just got to go execute with 10 minutes to play.
Got away from Wiley. This one of 5 games ongoing right now in the championship. You mentioned the Rowdies up on Miami by 2. That game has reached into the 82nd minute. FC Tulsa and RGV on level terms early in the second half. North Carolina leads Birmingham on the road, 0-0 in the 50th. And Memphis trails Charlotte 2-0, minute short of halftime. So there may be a handful of surprises this evening.
It's a Nazmi Al-Badawi sighting for North Carolina FC.
They were waiting to get him fully integrated, right?
They need something too. 3 losses in a row. That's never happened with Dave Sarakin at the helm for North Carolina FC. But the only blemish on the season for Birmingham Legion was a 1-0 loss at North Carolina back on August 1st. And to be fair, Bolu Akinyode went down in about the 35th minute with a red card. So they played 10 men almost the entire time.
He was playing center back going into that game as well, which is telling.
Yep.
Rain continues to pour down here. And we will be seeing some thunder and lightning in the hours to come in the Philadelphia area. With this game already in the 83rd, it would be a completed game if we were to get there. Hopefully we'll finish on schedule. Craig remains down. He picked up that earlier knock to his leg after a collision and got stretched out at the time.
Let's go back to that group for a second, Group G. It is amazing how quickly things can change. And everybody talking about the Birmingham Legion, myself included. Right now, virtually, North Carolina FC, they get a win. They can jump to 10. Charlotte Independence up 1-0 on 901 FC. I believe that game's in Memphis, if I'm not mistaken. 2-0 now.
Indeed.
2-0. There you go.
That just hit halftime.
Appreciate that, Opta. Also known as Mike Watts. The nice little cushion for Mike Jeffries. They're sitting on 15 points with a game in hand on the Legion. It's not crazy to think that they could still pick off that #1 spot. Independents have gotten better. For 901 FC, that's probably going to be a difficult stretch. 9 points back, 1 game in hand. But for North Carolina FC, you're still right there. 2 games in hand on Charlotte Independence. There's a long way to go in that match. But if you can see things out, you never know. Could get this back on track.
I feel like we're saying that a lot right now. You never know.
You want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, right?
Well, the points can swing so quickly. We spoke with a head coach in the lead up to the weekend here who just said, okay, yeah, we can go grab 3 or 6 points against rivals in our group. But next week you're going to play the same teams, and it could swing the other way as fast as you got them.
Conversely, look how different things are where you've got a Philadelphia Union 2 dealing with the COVID issues, playing their 7th game of the season, as opposed to Atlanta United 2 hitting lucky number 12. So almost lap them in terms of exposures on the USL Championship resumption of play. Good to see that young man back on the pitch. Gonna try and tough it out.
Well, both he and Sorensen have needed to be stretched out at this point, and they only have 1 sub left. As it stands right now, this would be a nice win for Atlanta. On the road, grabbed the goal before halftime. They've largely kept control.
Substitution, leaving the match, number 9, Phil Goodrum. Entering the match,
Mahia
34,
set to come on.
This substitution
Replaces Goodrum, Sun East Federal Credit Union sub.
All in all, a decent ship for Philip Goodrum. Not bad at all. Of course, picks up the assist on Mackie Job's fantastic finish. You notice some of the balls coming out of the back, you know, wrong side here and there. Shocking. Another product steps aside. I mean, look at what you have, though, for Atlanta United, too. When Philip Goodrum comes off, you know, you have guys stepping in. Jackson Conway comes on. You've basically created a whole new front three. Conway comes on. Boschti, a Jeremy Gunn product out of Stanford. And now Mejia.
This turned over here to Wiley. Wiley with a blast. That is steered straight down by Butler. Into the 87th minute. Time running out here. Goal for Philly to level this. Could eliminate Atlanta from the postseason. Still have 4 games to go after this. The Union in a 16-game season still have 9. Plenty of time to pick up points here, make things interesting in a group that appears top-heavy to the eye, but maybe a total melee down the stretch between Loudoun, New York, Philly trying to reach up and grab Hartford.
You know who's been fun to watch tonight, Mike? Jack Kerr. Really impressed with Jack Kerr at that outside back position.
Boschti, look at all this room here. Mahia. Got that off Ofemu. Corner, Atlanta.
Just moments ago, Jack Kerr, the one who takes it off the chest, back to his goalkeeper. Reyes gets the attack going the other direction. Seen him from set piece opportunities. Distribution coming out of the corner. Loads of speed. Jordy, Georgia Revolution boy in the MPSL level. Atlanta United 2 picked up this season. There's a good look at the rain. Never enjoyed playing in the rain to start. As long as it started raining while I was playing, I was happy with that.
And now the battle begins for Jackson Conway. Played at Georgia United under Anand. Then into the Atlanta youth system. Part of that U17 team that won a Development Academy National Championship. You look at Atlanta, I think NYCFC can say as well. Talk about hitting the ground running right off the bat with your academy as recent expansion sides in MLS.
It makes you wonder what is to come for teams like Charlotte FC. Of course, the Austin team. You know, Austin starting to scoop other programs as well. Axel Picasso would have been one of those kids. Lone Star was picked up by Austin Bold right now. Still a separate entity, but grabbing a lot of their players. Continuing the development of the youth in our country.
You look at one of the assistant coaches in Austin Bold that right now is also working with Lone Star with his time away. Offside flag is up here against Conway. That could have been that. Instead, we're nearing Subaru's stoppage. Union still in this thing. Atlanta on the verge of ending a 6-match winless skid. Heavy possession advantage on the night, especially in the first half. Rolled ahead. Boschti Too far. Recovered by Gannon. Stoppage time brought to you by Subaru. Seven additional minutes.
We said coming in, both these teams, Mike, maintain focus, maintain belief. Both of those still applicable with this added extra time.
Wiley on this slick grass field. Didn't start that way tonight. These studs are going to be just a little more slippery final 6 minutes. Flown ahead, headed down. Maybe Paxton Aronson could break through. Offside. Perhaps on the ball to Topi.
A little bit of a question mark on that one. Brendan Aronson looked onside, although didn't have the greatest of angles. I love the move with Jamoy Topi throwing him up top right now. The big center back that's always paired next to Beno Femu. A last-ditch effort. Knock a long ball up, and never know. Check out the Jamaicans' hold-up play.
Breaking through and trying to curl this. Ball lost and knocked in by Mahia. And that should be that for Atlanta United 2. Slipped out of the hands of Butler. And Atlanta United 2 should be able to live another day.
He's kept his team in it all night long, Mike. There's the one fantastic strike by Mackie Jobe. But save after save from Mitch Butler. All goes awry here. Comes off Kingate's foot. Ball trying to go to the backside by Boschti. He sees the late run. Unfortunately, just spills this out. Mitch Butler drops it on the doorstep. Still a difficult ask with pressure coming from Sorensen. Outside of the boot, just in the bottom corner to see this one out for 3 points.
Second minute of stoppage time. The 16-year-old seals the 3 points, barring a staggering late comeback here for Union 2. You'd have to say by any measure this is going to be a tough pill to swallow for the Union, who felt coming out of a 29-day layoff they were going to be re-energized, ready to get after it tonight. And they're going to let one of their games in hand prove fruitless.
It's going to slip away. Again, it's not back to the drawing board by any means, but some good looks tonight for on the block squad. Just not enough.
Bowie got it ahead. Flores. Diaz able to get it across. That deflected away. Kingay well out. Comes back to Wiley. Collision there. Steered down by Atlanta. Nielsen. There's Reyes. Reyes on the verge of a shutout tonight. for Atlanta United 2.
It looks like Anthony Sorensen, Anton, looks like he's cramping a little bit on that far side. He's put in a heck of a shift. Covered a lot of ground. Doing battle with the likes of Mackie Jope. Of course, in the first half, it's primarily Philip Gudrun on the right side.
Final 90 seconds. It's Kinge. Early ball. Attempt there to strike that. Blocked away on the shot by Bowie, and now turned in. Dupe in the old onion bag laid on here. Paxton Aronson. It's his first professional goal.
Only took him 22 minutes in this match, Mike. Came on in the 73rd. There's the glass, needs a bit more oomph underneath it. Trying to pick out the far corner the entire time. Blunder on one end by Butler, and the spill by Reyes. There's a window here. It's tiny at best, but they've got a chance.
Goal was presented by Sonny's Federal Credit Union. You never forget your first. And Paxton Aronson, who just signed a homegrown deal for the Union, grabs his first career goal. And there is no shutout for Reyes, the goalkeeper making his pro debut on the night. The Chilean Youth International. Foul here. And the referee checks his watch. They're going to let this play out, but certainly this is going to be it for Union 2 to try and steal a point here in the final seconds. You can hear the staff from Union 2 trying to get everybody forward. That should include the goalkeeper, Butler.
I keep an eye on Jamoy Topi and Ben Ufemu. Ufemu's got a couple in his career, all from the header. Actually the youngest goal scorer in his debut, Bethlehem Steel history. Back in North Carolina in 2018. Little back post run, ball got dropped, volleyed it in. Can he do the same?
Aronson. Skied out. It's a goal kick. And with that, the final whistle. First goal for Paxton Aronson late in this game, but it's not enough for Union 2 as Atlanta United to survive another day. Refusing to be eliminated, they grab all 3 points, their second win of the season. He's got to be your man of the match after grabbing a goal. He played about 25 minutes tonight. The Independence Blue Cross man of the match, Paxton Aronson.
You get a brief glimpse into the future of what could be for Paxton Aronson. His brother Brendan doing wondrous things for Jim Curtin. Marlon LeBlanc told us Ernst Tanner and Jim Curtin are keeping an eye on these boys, know exactly what's expected of them. Paxton Aronson gives no shortage of spectacular to close this match out.
Let's take a look at the save of the match presented by Sun East Federal Credit Union.
Mitch Butler going to be hard done of how this turned out. Has made a few good saves to keep his team in it. This was one. Check this, back post. Caleb Wiley goes for it. Good save, spilled it up, but again, it's the drop and 90+2 that will come back to haunt him.
So we'll step aside here in Chester and come on back with full-time highlights when we return.
Acme is bringing the fresh every day. Crispy, juicy, delicious. We're cutting fresh, so you don't have to. Slicing fresh in store. Icing, baking, and flower bouquet making. This is how we do fresh. Come and get it. Acme, the official supermarket of the Philadelphia Union.
For everyone who has ever brought home Entenmann's Little Bites muffins, you're probably quite familiar with the Happy Dance. Maybe it's because they're made with real ingredients like blueberries, bananas, strawberries, and no high fructose corn syrup. Or is it because they're always baked moist and delicious? The answer is all of the above. Entenmann's Little Bites muffins, the perfect portion of happiness. And be sure to try new Entenmann's Little Bites soft-baked chocolate chip cookies.
The summer of 2020 will be unusual and historic. Let us write the story together, enjoying the weather while staying safe. Wear a mask when you're outside. Keep up social distancing as we keep up our spirits. The usual destinations may not be open or may have restrictions. Conditions may change, so check websites as the summer goes on. Let us make history by enjoying the sunshine and together beating COVID-19.
Post-game here, Paxton Aronson, first goal of what many believe will be a long career in the professional game. Comes on late, grabs a goal late in stoppage, but it's not enough. ATLU TD2 pick up all 3 points on the road, their second win of the season. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr, we look at the full-time highlights. Presented by Bimbo Bakeries. It was overcast start, ended up being a very rainy finish in between. Goal in the 45th here. A magnificent finish.
I told you coming in, don't sleep on Atlanta United 2. They've been in most of their matches, but how about this? Fantastic from Mackie Jobe. Upper 90 off this left foot. Are you kidding me? Pick that out. What a strike by Mackie Jobe. They would add a second. And what you thought would be the insurance. David Mejia from Boshi on the backside. Mitch Butler drops this in. 2-0. Okay, that's game, set, match. That's all she wrote. Paxton Aronson had other ideas. 96-minute, run it back. You would get a similar look out of Vicente Reyes. Aronson still does well for himself as it sprays itself outside. But on the backside, trying to chip him. Not exactly enough underneath it. Goalkeeper gets this all wrong. But that is your first professional goal. Won't forget it. Not enough in the end. Philadelphia Union 2 fall. ATLU TD2.
Here's a look at the full-time Sun East Federal Credit Union stats. Your final thoughts on this one, Dev?
Deserved Atlanta United 2. Start to finish, there were glimmers of hope for Ron LeBlanc's squad, but it was never enough, never truly threatening. Thought the shape started to change in the second half for the better. Couldn't see the completion out. And there's a long, long road here for Atlanta United 2, but the 3 points assure them at least one more shot at it.
Atlanta will take on Miami to start a 3-game homestand. 4 games to go, still alive for the postseason. That may change over the weekend. Union 2 next away to the Rowdies at Al Lang on Sunday. They're going to need to pick up points sooner than later if they're going to stay in the race. Jobe, phenomenal first goal. Aronson, his first career goal. For our entire Vista crew, led by Eva Ponte, Gage Tillotson, Miguel Manella, Devin Kerr alongside Mike Watts saying, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Good night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.